What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. My name is Tony Reiner, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking to y'all about how I'm buying a laundromat. You can too. So pretty simple. So if you're not familiar with laundromats, mostly going to be in cities. You're going to see public laundromats where you can go and wash your clothes. You know, if you have an apartment, you'll usually have a laundry facility on site. Some of these older apartments aren't necessarily going to have laundry facilities, so you go to this laundromat, and it's usually owned by a business owner that's trying to make some money. Uh, they they get charged utilities for water and all of that, but they're usually charging a good amount. So if you've been to a laundromat, you know you kind of pay a lot of money into them, and they're usually cash, coin, pretty hands-on cash and stuff like that. So honestly, I didn't even know much about laundromats. And until I got into vending, when I got my vending machines, I actually placed them in a franchise of laundromats. And just talking to the owner, I realized this dude was making way more money than I was and working way less hours than I was. I mean, he was barely working. Um, Now I'm sure there's stuff he's doing on the back end, but I mean, I was at that laundromat all the time to go stock up those machines, and he was getting a cut of my profits. So I was like, man, there's something in this. And just seeing how many people were there, I was like, there's got to be more to it. And so I did a little research into laundromats. And so for the past, I don't know, 6 months, I've been trying to buy a laundromat. I actually sold my vending machines back in October so that I can take that capital and invest them in laundromats. And I've been doing some outreach now. I've been taking a course on laundromats as well. I've been reading a bunch of books. And yeah, it's super interesting. And I'll tell you all what I'm trying to do. So why laundromat? I kind of just mentioned it's really so I was really into real estate investing, and you can make some pretty good cash flow from buying rental properties. And my dad does that and has made some pretty good money with it. And there's a lot of benefits to real estate investing, but as y'all know, it's just super difficult to buy a house right now. I was trying to buy a duplex, rent out half to somebody else, and get some extra money. But even then, you're not making profit. You're just lowering your rent essentially. And then if there's any issues like HVAC goes out or the roof gets damaged, you got to pay that out of pocket. And with how expensive everything is right now, I just realized that's not the route to go. And I have about the same amount of money for a down payment. I have about 30 grand saved up that I can invest in a down payment or in a property, but it's just not worth it. And I don't know that I want to stay where I am for the next 7 years to where it actually makes money for me, because I think the market's going down in my opinion. So anyways, that's why I picked laundromat. It's another kind of boring business that people don't think about too much, and it's super essential. I mean, during 2020, these laundromats had to stay open because they're a public service essentially, and it's mostly cash and coins, so not a bunch of credit cards where you're paying a bunch of fees, and it's passive. You don't have to be there all the time. You don't have to operate it all the time. You can usually play somebody that'll do that for you, and it's more of an investment than a full-fledged business, I would say. And yeah, so that's kind of why I picked a laundromat. I'm really trying to get out of my 9 to 5. Financial freedom is my goal, and so this is one of the faster ways to get there. And then it's kind of a starter business to get my feet wet a little bit more, because vending machines was super easy, passive income. This is kind of the next step, and then I'll take another step with a bigger business after that. So my buying criteria, I'm trying to make $5,000 net profit per month. That's about what I need to be financially free. My expenses don't really exceed $5,000 per month, and that would just give me a good safety net, and in case there's any expenses that come up. And I'm looking for laundromats in Texas, in North Texas, and I'm looking at specific zip codes actually, because I want to look at the population density. I want to see that there's above 12,000 people in each little zip code within a square mile radius of wherever the laundromat is that I'm looking at. So just little pockets here in North Texas that I'm looking at. Obviously kind of Dallas area, because Dallas is one of the more populated areas. And when I say population dense, it's people per square mile. And then another thing I'll be looking at is apartments, if they're near apartments, because then renters are going to be more likely to not have washers and dryers in the units. And then preferably older buildings, because those are going to be the ones that don't have them in unit. Like I'm in an apartment, I have one in unit, so I haven't been to a laundromat in years. But some of the older ones, they're probably from before the 70s. Those are gonna be the ones that probably don't have a laundry facility on site. And then in the more upscale neighborhoods, you want to have like wash and dry fold services where basically they'll come and pick up your laundry and then take it and go wash it for you. That's another option too, if you look in those areas. So anyways, that's kind of my buying criteria. There's a little bit more. I'm looking for specific multiples for pricing. And when I say multiples, that's the multiplier of whatever the revenue is for that year. So if a seller is making $60,000 net profit, or SDE, which is seller discretionary earnings, $60,000, if I'm paying him a 4x multiple, that means I'm paying 4 times whatever that is per year. So say he's making $60,000, like I said, if I'm paying 4x multiple, I'm going to be paying $240,000 for that laundromat, and vice versa. And so each business is going to have a different multiple that it usually goes for, and each market's going to have a different multiple. So I would say here in North Texas, I would say a 4x multiple is probably pretty good. So if I can get one that's making $60,000, which will get me $5,000 net profit per month, I'll probably be paying around $240,000. And then I can work my way back on some of the financing that I'll talk through here in a second. So how I'm finding deals, I am sending out cold letters. I'm sending out letters to as many laundromat owners as I can with the hopes that they'll call me. Other than that, cold calls. Really, I'm just doing first round of letters right now. So eventually I'll get into cold calls, and you can even stop into businesses, but that's a little risky because it's just, if you talk to one of the employees, it could set them off, and the owners don't like that. So that's kind of how I'm finding deals. And then Biz by Sell is a good website, kind of like Zillow, but for businesses. So you can go on there and find businesses. And it's not even just laundromats. You can find other ones if you want to get into a different business. So it's pretty cool. How much does it cost? Like I said, I want to stay under $300,000 for sure. But out of pocket is a little bit different because similar to real estate, you'll put a down payment and then the rest will be financed. So, I mean, you could pay all cash if you have it. I don't. But SBA, you could put 10% down and then 90% be debt. Or if you do seller financing, you can really put whatever money down that you and the seller agree to, and carry the rest as a loan, preferably through the seller. And they'll usually ask for a percentage rate of a certain amount of years. And I can go into that in another video, creative financing strategies. But yeah, so due diligence process, that's going to be when you're looking at P&Ls, looking at the profit and loss statement to see if they're actually making money, if they're making what they said they're making, what exactly they're putting on there, what's missing. And then you also want to look at equipment, inspect the equipment, make sure it's all good. If it's recent, the better. The more recent it is, the better. Dexter is a good brand of washers and dryers. From my research, I don't know firsthand, but that's stuff that you want to look at, what it would cost to replace, like how much they're paying for maintenance right now. Do they have any equipment loans? Is there, what's your lease? That's a big one, because how long is your lease? How much are you paying? Because if it's renewing in a year and it's going to go up $500 per month, like that's $6,000 a year of profits that it's going to take from you. So you want to be aware of that. And then when you offer, you have more to negotiate with. And then how you can do this too. So I kind of outlined the buying process right here. It's pretty simple when you think about it. I know it looks a little complicated, but when you get into the weeds of it, it makes sense. So you want to find a deal. Similar to real estate, you got to find a laundromat that you want to buy and that is willing to sell to you. And when you do find one, you'll start analyzing the financials and see if it actually makes sense. So when you're looking at deals, you want to scope through as many as you can, because you'll see a lot of them. So you want to have, that's why having a buying criteria is super important, because you can go. So if one's making $30,000 net profit, I'm not even going to look at it. I'm not even going to try and look at the financials of it. Why waste my time on it? It's not going to hit my numbers. No chance. And if it's in a market that I don't want to be in, like I'm in North Texas, I'm not going to buy one in Houston. So that's why that's so important. So find a deal and then start analyzing financials, and you'll go through, and there's a calculator that you can use to to look through everything. But at the end of the day, look at the multiple. That's probably the easiest way to look. Is if it's more than a 4 or 5x multiple, I probably wouldn't go for it personally. So if it says that their net profit is 60,000 and they're asking for 350,000, no, I'm not going in on that. I'll lowball them but I'm not paying you 350,000. They can even say that, oh, because of the inventory and the equipment. No, all that matters in buying businesses is the revenue that it brings in. If they have some fancy system or software that they have, I don't care. All that matters is what is making revenue. And then walk through equipment inspection, and then secure your financing, preferably seller financing if you can, but SBA is another way to do it. It's a little bit tough with laundromats because it's mostly coin, and so they're a little hesitant to finance on it. So secure financing, and then negotiate and close, and then you want to scale and improve systems. Now there's more in depth here. So similar to real estate, you'll kind of go under contract and you'll have a due diligence period, like I mentioned here, where you'll go through everything. You'll probably put some money in escrow, and then you have 30 to 60 days to kind of go through the numbers, look at the equipment, see if it's actually one you want to move forward with, and then you'll negotiate the final deal and close on it, and then preferably get the owner to train you for a period of time so that you can learn everything you can about the business and call them, ask them questions. Then when you get it figured out, how it runs and everything, you can start scaling it and then improve the systems, make it better, get more revenue, and yeah, ultimately take that profit and invest in another laundromat and kind of scale up your laundromats and your business. So yeah, that's kind of it for today's video. Please leave a comment or any questions down below. I'd be happy to answer them. And thank y'all for tuning in. I hope you have a great week. See y'all.